Friends, whenever something new is invented in this world, we usually think it must have come from a brilliant scientist or a genius inventor. But what if I told you that some of the world's most famous inventions were actually created by kids? Yes. In today's video, I'm going to tell you about real inventions made by children that went on to change the world. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Dr. Octopus Arms. If you've watched the Spider-Man movies, you probably remember the villain Dr. Octopus, the scientist with 4 robotic arms that do everything from lifting heavy objects to fighting Spider-Man himself. Sounds like pure science fiction, right? Well, brace yourself, because a 10-year-old boy named Ariston Meads actually created working robotic arms just like those from the movie. With help from a well-known inventor named Eric Finman, Ariston didn't just make a costume. He built mechanical arms that really move. These tentacles are connected to his back and can be controlled with sensors. They're strong, functional, and even able to pick up objects. Imagine being 10 years old and building something so impressive that it mimics a comic book villain. It's not just a cool project. It's a real-world version of fantasy brought to life by a brilliant young mind. Television. Today, we can't imagine a home without a television. It's how we stay updated with the news, enjoy movies and shows, and connect with the world. But did you know that the first electronic television was invented by a 14-year-old boy? His name was Philo Farnsworth. One day, while working on a farm with his father, he noticed the neat lines left behind by the plow in the soil. That simple observation sparked a genius idea. What if images could be scanned in a similar way, line by line? He started working on this concept, and over time, developed a system using a vacuum tube that could transmit pictures electronically. In 1930, at just 14 years old, Philo introduced the first fully functional electronic television to the world. And the rest, as they say, is history. It's mind-blowing to think that one of the greatest inventions in entertainment came from the mind of a teenager on a farm. Calculator. Ask most students what subject they struggle with the most, and you'll often hear one answer: math. But some kids actually love math, so much that they try to make it easier for others. That's what Blaise Pascal did. Back in 1642, when Pascal was only 18, he watched his father, a tax officer, struggling to do long and complex calculations by hand. Instead of just watching, he stepped up to help. He built a mechanical machine that could add and subtract numbers. This device, which he called the Pascaline, became one of the earliest forms of the calculator. People were amazed. It made life so much easier for merchants, bankers, and anyone who had to crunch numbers. Pascal's invention didn't just solve a problem, it laid the foundation for modern-day computing. Not bad for a teenager with a love for numbers. Maggi noodle seasoning. Noodles are a favorite snack for kids all around the world. But here's something you probably didn't know. The iconic Maggi noodle flavoring was actually invented by a 12-year-old boy. His name was Julius Maggi, and he lived in Germany in the late 1800s. Julius had a curious taste for bold and spicy flavors. One day, while experimenting with ingredients alongside a friend, he created a unique blend of spices. That mixture turned out to be a game changer. They tested the seasoning on noodles, and it was so good that it became the standard recipe. Decades later, when instant noodles became popular, Maggi's company adopted his original spice blend. That same basic flavor is still used in Maggi noodles today. A simple kitchen experiment by a young boy became a flavor the whole world loves. Trampoline. The trampoline is one of those toys that both kids and adults love. You bounce, you jump, you flip, and it's always fun. But did you know this playful invention was the brainchild of a 16-year-old gymnast? His name was George Nesson, and he lived in Iowa, USA. George was passionate about gymnastics. One day, he attended a circus show and saw performers bouncing off safety nets below the trapeze. He was fascinated by how much fun it looked, so he thought, what if I could make something like that, but for fun and fitness? Back home, he started working on his idea. Using scrap materials, he built the first version of what would become the modern trampoline. He even came up with the name trampoline himself. What began as a teenage project is now used in homes, gyms, and Olympic sports around the world. Talk about bouncing your way into history. Snowmobile. Winter sports are a lot of fun. Snowboarding, sledding, skiing, skiing. But one of the coolest winter inventions is the snowmobile, which lets you glide over snow with speed and control. This fun and powerful machine was actually created by a teenager. Back in the early 20th century, young inventors were experimenting with ways to travel across snow more easily. One innovative teen modified a bicycle and combined it with skis and a small engine, and the idea of the snowmobile was born. With time, this idea was improved by engineers, but the first concept started with a kid's imagination. Today, snowmobiles are used for sport, fun, and even rescue missions in snowy areas. A child's playful curiosity turned into a vehicle that helps people worldwide. Swimming fins. Swimming is fun, but learning how to do it can be tough, especially for beginners. That's where swimming fins come in. They're worn on the feet and help you swim faster and with better control. Now, here's the twist. These fins were invented by an 11-year-old boy named Benjamin Franklin. Yes, that Benjamin Franklin, the founding father of the United States. When he was a child, Franklin loved swimming. He wanted to move faster in the water, so he carved two paddle-like fins from wood and attached them to his hands. Although they weren't perfect, they gave him better movement, and he kept improving the design. While modern fins look different, the basic idea started with a child's creativity and a love for swimming. Franklin went on to invent many other things, including bifocal glasses, the lightning rod, and musical instruments. Truly a genius from a very young age. Braille language. Most of us know about Braille, the reading and writing system used by people who are blind. But what's amazing is that this system was invented by a 15-year-old boy, Louis Braille. When Louis was just 3 years old, he had an accident in his father's workshop that left him blind in both eyes. Despite his disability, he didn't let that stop him from learning. By age 15, Louis had developed a system of raised dots that blind people could feel with their fingers. This allowed them to read and write independently, something no other method had allowed before. Even more incredible, the Braille system he created in 1824 is still used exactly the same way today, without any major changes. Louis Braille turned a personal struggle into a global solution, and all before reaching adulthood. Superman. When you think of superheroes, Superman is probably the first name that comes to mind. But did you know that this legendary character was created by a 16-year-old boy? His name was Jerry Siegel, and he was obsessed with storytelling and comics. Back in 1934, he came up with the idea of a super-powered alien who defends Earth and stands for justice. With help from his friend Joe Shuster, Jerry wrote and illustrated the first Superman story, and it became a comic book legend. Superman went on to become one of the most beloved and iconic characters of all time. It all started with a teenager's imagination, a pencil, and a dream.
So friends, that's it for today's video. I truly hope you enjoyed this incredible journey through inventions made by some of the smartest and most inspiring kids in history.